The following program is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is being broadcast statewide on California Public Television. This series has been endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association.
California's Gold is provided to the PBS network statewide through a grant from Wells Fargo Bank, coming through for Californians for over 135 years.
Hi, I'm Huell Hauser, and today we have driven down here to the water, down to the Pacific Ocean, because I woke up this morning with this uncontrollable urge to visit the islands. And I'm not talking about the Hawaiian Islands, which are located several thousand miles west of here. I'm talking about our own California Channel Islands. There are 8 of them, and they're located right off the Southern California coast. Now, the first island we're going to visit on this particular adventure is Catalina, and of course it's located just 26 miles across the sea. Now, the traditional way, the normal way people get from the mainland to Catalina is on one of these ferry boats. That's what these people are doing right now. They're loading up to go to Catalina. But as you have learned from previous experiences, we don't normally do things the traditional way. So if you're ready for an extremely fast and bumpy trip to Catalina, you're invited to come on along with us as we all continue our search together, this time on the islands, for California's gold.
California, here I come, right back where I started from. The flowers bloom in the spring, morning and sunny, birds are singing, sun is wind and don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up those Golden Gate, California, here I come. California, here I come, right back where I started. The flowers bloom in the spring, morning and dawning, birds are singing, sun is risen, don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up those Golden Gate, California, here I come.
Well, let's go back in time. Back to 1957 to be exact, in the Long Beach Harbor, when some very excited young water skiers took part in a ski race sponsored by the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club. An annual event started in 1949. Lots of spectators, lots of fast boats, and lots of very good local skiers. Everyone having fun, and probably no one at the time realizing that they were part of an event that was to grow into a true California tradition. Now we're very much in the present, and here we are in the very same Long Beach Harbor. And guess what? That annual ski race started back in 1949 is still an annual ski race. Hadn't missed a year. Of course, these days the boats are a lot bigger and the skiers are a lot faster, and they come from all over the world to compete. Still sponsored by the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club, this race has grown to be one of the most prestigious and best-known water ski races in the world. How prestigious is this race around the world?
Around the world, this is one of the top 3 races in the world.
Really?
Undoubtedly the world's greatest water ski race, so far as anybody's concerned here in the States, and arguably one of the 3 best.
Now, it didn't start out that way, did it? It just kind of started out as some guys having some fun.
Started out some guys having some fun, very humble beginnings that just grew in popularity and fun. Then as the international participants started coming, and it became international reputation, and has grown ever since, over the past 44 years.
Now, you've skied in it a number of years?
Yeah, I've competed 8 years in a row until last year, and I didn't ski last year, and then this year I got married, so I'm not skiing again.
Well, wait a minute. Why would getting married have anything to do with whether you ski or not?
Well, anybody who's married knows how that works.
Well, obviously not all the skiers had just gotten married, because as the race started, over 100 men, women, and young people zipped across the water, heading out into the open sea. How fast do you go out there?
The leaders of this race can be racing at 80 to 90 mile an hour at times.
That is almost impossible for me to comprehend what that must be like.
They are sure to be averaging well into the 60s, with sprints up to 80 mile an hour and crossing the finish line sometimes at over 90.
Really? Okay, as we all look at these remarkable pictures of skiers going 70, 80, 90 miles per hour across the ocean, it's time for me to share one more bit of information with you. The name of this race is the Catalina Ski Race, and it's called that because the competitors ski from Long Beach all the way to Catalina Island. And the kicker is that once they get to Catalina Island, they don't stop. They make a loop in the harbor at Avalon and head right back to Long Beach, making this race over 63 miles long, non-stop. Now that's a race. Now, a lot of these skiers have been competing in this rather unusual race for years. Take Chuck Stearns, for example. Chuck's been skiing since he was a young boy. Over the years, winning just about every major ski race in the United States. And in 1960, he set a world speed record. As far as the Catalina ski race is concerned, Chuck's been a part of that since its earliest days and has won it 11 times. As a boy, what kind of an experience was that like, to ski to Catalina?
It was every time I skied the Catalina, it was like a new thrill, and it wasn't. It was never repetitious. It was always a new thrill, and you felt like singing. You get out in the water, and I used to sing zippity Boo-dah, zippity-a, what a wonderful
You would sing
day.
while you were skiing?
Oh, it was fun, yeah. It was because you just felt so good. You know, the spray, the water, the ocean spray hitting you, and seeing the flying fish, and watching the boat go over the swells, and the challenge of trying to stay on your ski without falling, and then thinking, gee, if I fall, I wonder if a shark's going to get me. You always worry about sharks, but
Do you really worry about them that much?
you do, but I've never heard of a water skier that fell skiing out in the ocean ever having problems with a shark. But you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like the unknown, you know, especially with all these Jaw movies coming out that it makes you think about it.
How many times you figure you've skied to Catalina in your lifetime?
Countless, I would say
Hundreds?
hundreds, less than 1,000, but close to it.
Very few people ever do it once.
Yeah, but if you do it once, you can't stop at one time. It's very addicting. You want to do it again and again. It's so much fun. It's not just like skiing on a lake. It's like skiing into outer space, really. When you ski out in the ocean and ski to Catalina, it's really a lot of fun.
Okay, so far everybody has said this is a lot of fun. But to be completely honest with you, I think this is one of life's experiences most of us will never have firsthand. But to at least get the feeling of what it was like to be in the boat, the crew of the Valvoline 1, which is one of the biggest and fastest boats around, invited us to spend a little time with them out on a practice run. Now, we were pulling Lori Dunsmore, who's finished first in the overall women's category for the past 3 years. And if all this looks a little bouncy to you, it was. In fact, cameraman Luis Fuerte and I were spending most of our time just trying to hold on. It was rough out there. Now, how fast are we going now?
We're doing about 60 right now.
We're going 60 now. In a normal race, you go even faster than that, don't you?
Yeah, this is, we usually pull Lori around 60 to 70 miles an hour right in this range here.
Wow.
Outside the harbor. This is inside.
How fast are we going?
We're doing about 60 right now, so we're just cruising.
We're just barely moving right now.
Yeah, just barely.
Good, great. This is great.
You take your both hands, this is how I start in the water. You take both handles and you bring them around here in the back. So see this wetsuit alongside here, that kind of gives you support for your back too, and it doesn't tear up your sides. That's why we have hips.
You're really
sides.
padded there.
Yeah, you kind of have to. And then you hold your arm up here in the front.
So you're holding them together in the
Yeah.
back
Like this,
with one hand,
With
and you're
one
holding up here in the front.
one in the front. And so you're just using a lot of your front arm. That's why this arm's bigger than this arm.
Make a muscle for us. Come on.
Muscle. It's kind of wimpy right now. I don't know. I didn't get to ski as hard. No.
So there you are holding like this. You've got a neck brace on here.
Yeah, neck brace.
You're wearing a helmet.
I wear a helmet. A lot of people wear the head restraints also that come down here onto your wetsuits.
And you got goggles.
And I have Oakley goggles, and I have these arm restraints that are up here. Now today I didn't, but usually you could tape them down to hold it so your arm doesn't go up over your head like the sprint car drivers for
So you are
arm
really
injuries.
braced in that
Yeah,
thing.
you are. It takes its toll on a fall. I had a couple black eyes this year and bad back.
So when you fall, you fall.
Yeah, you go down hard.
So only 55 minutes after the race began, the first two competitors crossed the finish line, less than a second apart. The other 108 skiers would follow, all of them completing the 63-mile course. And the nicest part about all this is that whether they won the race or not, everyone involved had the satisfaction of knowing that they had been part of one of the most famous races in the world, the Catalina ski race, an honest-to-goodness California tradition. Okay, first off, let me apologize, because I'm sure you'll remember that earlier I said we'd be visiting two of the Channel Islands, and that our first destination would be Catalina Island. Well, obviously we didn't make it onto Catalina Island. We just skied right past it. But I promise the second island we visit, we'll really visit it, spend a couple of days there. Now, on this adventure, we'll be traveling by air. Our journey starts at an airstrip on a naval base on the mainland, as we climb aboard kind of an old-timey looking prop plane. Now, I was kind of excited about this whole thing. Everyone else on board looked pretty relaxed and nonchalant about it. That's because most of the people on the plane make this trip on a regular basis. And we were only in the air about 15 or 20 minutes before we got there. Welcome to San Nicolas Island, which is located about 68 nautical miles southeast of Santa Barbara off the California coast. And I might add, it's a pretty big deal for us civilians to even be here, because normally only official Navy personnel or people who work for the Navy are even allowed on the island. I also know exactly what you're thinking about now. Same thing I was thinking. There's not much here. But just wait, because first impressions can be deceiving. You'll discover, just like I did, that this is truly a magnificent place. First, a little background information. This island is owned by all us taxpayers and operated by the good old U.S. Navy. It's teeming with top-secret, sophisticated communications and missile tracking towers. It's part of the Point Mugu Naval Weapons Station on the mainland and a vital link in the Pacific Missile Test Center's Sea Test Range. We're talking heavy-duty stuff here. But in addition to all this technical equipment, the island is a nature lover's dream. It's 9.5 miles long and 3 miles wide, and it's packed with a little bit of everything on it. We were given a nature lover's orientation tour all around the island as soon as we arrived by Ron Dow, who's the director of the Environmental Division.
When you first get off the plane and look around, you don't think there's very much out here.
Well, it does seem kind of stark, and of course we have some really bleak contrasts, and of course in the summertime things brown out just like it does in Southern California and other areas. But when you really get down and get into those canyons and get along the shorelines, it just comes alive. There's just always something interesting.
There's a lot here that does not meet the eye, isn't it?
That's right. The first view is really deceptive. And San Nicolas, I think, has a real diversity in landscape. To some, it's like the moon, and it might be rugged and very austere, but to others, there's really a serene beauty to it. You can just get away from the world, and it's just kind of like nowhere else on Earth.
Now let's talk for just a minute about these sand dunes, because the last thing in the world you would expect to find out here is this gigantic sand dune, which, what is the expression that goes around the island?
Well, we call this the dune that ate San Nicolas. Yeah, it does come right out of the island floor, almost like it's misplaced here, but it does move. Moves about 2 to 3 feet a year, and gosh, it's just immense. It's really a unique feature. This is a good indication of how deceiving things are out here. This is giant Coreopsis. Looks like it's really dead.
It looks pretty dead.
But it only really flowers and comes to life during the wet season of the year. But if you peel back the bark, you have what's actually an edible and very, very moist part of the stem. Try that.
Now, would the Indians have eaten this when they lived here, do you think?
They definitely could have. Try it. It tastes like carrot.
So this is, it's good for you.
Not too strong.
It has a good taste. Is it nutritious?
That I don't know, but
Just so long as it's not poisonous.
it won't kill you.
Good. Yes, it's pretty good. Now we're coming up to something that I had never thought I would see, and this is fascinating. Could you explain to us what this is?
Well, what we're seeing here is an Indian midden, and what that is it's a kitchen cook pile. The Indians would have their fires on top. You can see the charcoal up on top. They would peel out the shellfish and that and chuck the shells. And so what you see here is just a litter of work stone and shell material from probably hundreds and hundreds of years of use. And,
wow.
and these are all over the island. We've got over 350 sites inventoried on the island.
Mounds where the Indians cooked and then discarded all of their shells. This
Right.
is amazing. What is all of this stuff?
Well, you can see a lot of these rocks were probably pieces they didn't use, that they're all worked. You can see a lot of flaking. And
You mean they would use these for what?
well, they did make mortars and pestles, and they
Well,
have some.
Here's a shell that's this would have been an abalone that
Right.
they would have taken out of there and eaten and discarded the shell.
Right, this was one that had been eaten. You can also, if you looked real closely, you could find shell fish hooks and bone whistles and all kinds of implements that they use.
Well, I'm going to put this back. I'm not going to remove it from
There
the
you go.
island. I know everybody's looking. I'm putting it back.
Next, it was time to look at the island wildlife, because San Nicolas is a protected home for all sorts of creatures, like these sea lions and these chukars, lots of seagulls, and the kit fox. Now, we're showing you a slide of the kit fox because they lay low during the day. We didn't see a one. That night, we saw 10 or 15 of them, but our camera couldn't pick them up. It was too dark. But the highlight for me was when we visited up close and personal with a whole bunch of elephant seals.
And they're just right here.
Yeah, the neat thing about island mammals in general is they don't really have that fear of man that you get along the mainland. And as long as we stay back just a little bit, these guys hardly even notice we're here.
Look at the eyes on this one looking right at us. Look at this.
Yeah, these guys are great. Yeah, they got the big eyes because they're real deep divers.
And they hang out on this end of the island most of the year?
Pretty much the whole south side, but most of these are pups. They were born last January, and they're molting now if you take a look at their coats. And,
wow, that is amazing. I don't think I've ever been up this close before, and they're not at all afraid of us. Now, we can't go any closer.
No, we better hang back.
Because there's a regulation, right?
Right. They're protected, and we're not allowed to harass them, nor do we want to. But as long as we hold our distance, they're quite content.
Now, we've seen lots of nice animal pictures and lots of nice scenic shots of San Nicolas. But have you noticed that so far we haven't seen many people? Where is everybody? Well, during the day, most of them are inside these top-secret buildings doing their top-secret technical stuff. There is a little town. Actually, it's called San Nicolas Island City, a compound where the approximately 50 Navy personnel and 150 civilians live while on the island. Even it looked deserted during the day, except for the galley during lunchtime. How's the food?
It's really not too bad, considering that this is the only place on the island to get something to eat. It helps it out quite a bit.
At night, there are all kinds of things to do. You can take karate lessons or bowl at the 4-lane bowling alley. Now, fellas, somebody told me there was supposed to be a tournament going on over here tonight.
Well, one team's got too many people involved in the karate and everything, so they couldn't make it tonight, so they'll make it up tomorrow night.
Oh, so the team that you were supposed to be bowling against is taking karate lessons tonight.
Uh-huh.
You can work out at the gym or take a sauna. What about the fact that there are not many people over here, though? There's
You know what's great about that is on a clear day, you can go up to the runway and look 65 miles east and see the civilization. We're out here by ourselves, and we love it. We love it. You know,
there's no people around.
That's right. You're away.
You're
from
the only one doing it.
You're away from the world.
Once in a while, I see a couple boats fly by. I mean, like Enterprise flew by like last weekend, last month, right?
Yeah.
Last month. Enterprise is pretty wild.
Now, you all are in here kind of celebrating a little bit.
Right.
It doesn't take much excuse to have a party around here, does it?
Well, the sun was out today.
That's why you're having a party.
Right. No, actually, we are all like a family out here, literally. You know, I mean, we're real close. I mean, I would look out for him, he would look out for me, and we like to socialize together.
Now, you've all got families back on the mainland, right?
I got a wife and a child.
And
A wife and 3 kids.
Husband.
a husband.
I got a girlfriend and a kid.
I got a motorcycle.
And then there's the Islander Club, which is a real hot spot where you can go to play pool or visit with friends. You know, it's an interesting collection of people who work and live out on this island. Now, some of them gripe about it, about the isolation and all. But from what I could gather in a rather informal survey, most of them love it.
We don't have to worry about freeway shootings out here. Nobody owns a gun, except security, and they know how to use them anyway.
I expected like Hawaii.
Like Hawaii? Nice to see you. So you were in for a big shock,
Yeah,
weren't
I
you?
was, but I like it though. It's really pretty.
So that's what you first came out here expecting, just kind of a way to get away from it all and have a roof over your head.
In fact, I had a terminology for the island. It became Alimony Island, because that's what I was out here for. That's what put me here. So it's hung in there ever since, the Alimony Island. Nobody, I don't know where Alimony Island is.
But you know where it is.
I tell you I do.
Now, people don't really swim out here very much, do they? Because this looks like pretty rough tide.
No, the tide is too rough for them to swim, so the commanding officer has a regulation that does not allow us to swim on the island at all. And
Just fish, just fish.
Fish and look at the beautiful scenery along the beach.
And I imagine walking on the beach is something out here, too.
Oh, yeah. There's some areas out here where you can pick up some really nice seashells, and, of course, the wildlife on the beach. But it's beautiful. This is what makes being on the island nice. In the afternoons, you can get away from the drudgery of the top part of the island. You don't understand what the island is like up on top until you get down here along the beach, and that makes your livable area here really nice.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's like a postcard.
That's right. You don't see any oil, you don't see any pollution.
Now, Tim, you're the fuel manager out here on the island, but when you're not working, you're taking pictures.
That's correct. 4 o'clock rolls around, and probably until sunset, I'm out burning up rolls of film just left and right. It's a great place to shoot out here.
What kind of opportunities do you have for pictures out here?
If you could imagine turning back time about 200 years around the coastline over here would be the equivalent to shooting over here. It's just a photographer's dream.
I have uniqueness of looking forward to going off the island on a Friday, but when Sunday night comes along, I look forward to coming back here on Monday morning.
Is this the kind of place that grows on you?
Yes, I wouldn't work anywhere else. If I had to go to work somewhere else, I'd quit.
You know, it is quite a place, this windswept but very important piece of land 75 miles off our California coast. An island very few people have ever had the opportunity to visit. An island named San Nicolas that's a fascinating mix of natural beauty and high tech. Well, here we are, safe and sound, back where we started in Long Beach. And even though technically we didn't even set foot on Catalina Island, I hope you enjoyed the ski race. We did spend a lot of time on San Nicolas Island, which is a true California treasure. In fact, all 8 of our Channel Islands are very special places. Well, that's it, time to go. But as always, you're invited to join us again next time as we all continue our search together for California's gold. Goodbye, everybody.
California's Gold is provided to the PBS network statewide through a grant from Wells Fargo Bank, coming through for Californians for over 135 years.